my fellow comic book collectors. This is part 4 of this crazy unboxing. We'll get into it. We'll see what stuff is in here. Hopefully some good stuff. I'm always pleasantly surprised what random stuff I bought over the months. And we're going to start out with some Golden Age. This one is got some Golden Age right off the bat. And it's Good Girl Art Golden Age. Something that I really do like collecting. And this one was just a really great cover, really cute cover. I just thought it was really fun. This is Cindy, number 28. And you got this bunch of characters inside the sled, and they're all like sort of very happy. They're all winking at almost at the reader. And the girl, they ask, "Are you boys sure you're not too crowded?" And they're all like squished up against each other. And "Are you kidding?" That was their response, because they're just so happy to be like sort of squished up against this pretty girl. So I just think it's a fun, nice Good Girl Art comic from the Golden Age. So this is Cindy number 18. Or 28, sorry, 28. Okay, next one. No idea what this is. It's a very unusual package. I'm not quite sure how to open this without causing serious damage, but we're going to try to open it without doing any damage to the comic. Okay, actually not too bad. This is an interesting one. Okay, so there was I gotta censor this one a little bit. I believe this is from the 1930s. The 30s or early 40s. But this is called Pageant. And it's basically one of the things that they would do in the sort of platinum age of magazines was they would they wanted to have nudie books, I guess is the best way to say it, but do it so where they could get around any censorship, because you weren't really allowed. Like Playboy was the one that sort of was the groundbreaker for adult magazines, and that was very frowned upon. And so back in the 30s, how do you get around that? Well, what they would do to get around the censorship was they would do these what's called pageant or art nudes, like artistic. If it was in the name of art, it was okay. so they would do these kind of artistic nudes as a magazine, and it's basically like early kind of prototypes to Playboy and those kind of magazines. So you get like these kind of artistic nudes, a little bit of a nude there in the back, and just a interesting piece of history. There was a whole bunch of them that had come up for auction, and they all had really low starting bids. So I put a few bids on across like about 20 different of these sort of art photo magazines, I guess they would be called. And that was the only one I won. I was surprised how much they had gone up. Like at the very last second, pretty much all of them went, fairly expensive. Typically those books, because they are of that early 30s or early 40s, they can go for quite a bit of money. I usually see them selling for anywhere from $100 to $200. So quite a bit of money for for a nudie magazine at the end of the day. Another thing that I was picking up a little bit of, and I was just putting like really low, like doing the starting bids and seeing if I would win, was pulps. I bought a few pulps this month, and this is Startling Stories, and I was just picking up ones that I thought had kind of cool covers. That's really what you do with pulps. It's not sometimes with pulps though. It is if there's a key writer like Isaac Asimov or what's another, like some of the famous artists, writers you know, if they contributed to the book, it can be pretty expensive. Um, but for the most part, most people go by the cover because nobody reads pulps. Like, if they do, then good for them. But it's really hard to read a pulp, in my opinion. I just find that the paper quality is just so brittle and brutal that it's just kind of painful to read these things. Not saying that they're bad. I mean, probably the stories inside are quite good. But it just, I find that the reading him is not the most fun. They're just, you can see what the paper quality is like. Just hard to read because the paper quality is just so poor. So this is from May of 1940 something. May of 1940, and the digit. This is something that happens a lot with the pulps. This side, like part of the pulp, will deteriorate pretty quickly, and usually pulps, you can get this thing where it'll chip off in the in the corners, at the ends, I should say. And it's hard to read the date, so I don't know when this is from, but it's from the 40s, and it's startling stories. So it's kind of a fun pulp. One that I was recommending different pulps to people that you can pick up fairly affordably, and I think that cost me like $10, $5 to $10, something like that. It's not that expensive, and I just go, as I said, I just go for cool covers. CGC is going to start grading pulps, and I think there will be an explosion in the value of pulps. I think it's a really, if you want to speculate on the next big thing, I think pulps could be that, because with the new grading of pulps, you'll see collectors, maybe kind of recognizing the value of it. And more so than even with comics, pulps make sense to get graded because, as I said, they're hard to read. And what happens is often you still want them not to fall apart completely because pulps kind of disintegrate. And by getting them put into a slab, they put in some protective paper inside the pulp, and they also are protecting it from future decay. And it displays that beautiful cover. Like, pulps had amazing covers. Like, as I said, this is pretty awesome cover. I think it's, this crazy eye, this beautiful girl, and, this guy fighting this eye and stuff, and just fun stuff. And having that in a slab would be really great to present. So I think, collectors will gravitate towards that. And unlike comics, because you really can't read or enjoy the interior that much, because it's, as I said, they're old, and the pages, it would fall apart in your hands probably if you tried reading it. Having it slabbed makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, where you don't need to see those interiors. Okay. This was a small order that I got from my comic shop. And basically what it was I missed out on a few books when they came out. So sometimes, like, I get really busy during the week, like really, really busy, like work 20-hour days. And then I miss the opportunity to go to New Comic Book Day. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll go the next day, and sometimes the big hot book of the week will sell out, and that's what happened. I missed out on a few books. So these are the books that I kind of missed out on when they came out. But fortunately, I was able to buy them on my comic shop. So this one was No One, #1. This was a, modern book that just came out that was kind of the hot book of the week. So No One, #1. And then we got World Tree, #1. So there was 3 different covers. I picked the sexiest cover. Basically, that's how I picked it. And this was sort of the hot book of the week. I think that was a month ago, right? And this was one, I forgot what this one is. This is not a modern book. This is a Copper Age book. This is Web of Spider-Man number 37. And I'm just trying to remember. I forgot. It's like some spider character that makes their appearance in this one. Just trying to remember. Maybe I'm just trying to remember what this key appearance is. I also did pick up the A cover to World Tree. So I'll when I do the notes for this video, I will put down what the key significance of this book is. But I also picked up the A cover for World Tree. Now, there's actually something interesting about the A cover for World Tree. There was two versions of this. I think this is the recalled version. So the difference is they're both considered first printings, but the difference is, see this character in the background? Well, you can't see the character in the background. That's the problem. So what happened was when they got this printed, they realized that you couldn't really see this character in the background. There's a person that's dead on the floor, or at least they look like they're dead. But it's really hard to see. Well, they decided, hey, this is not the way we wanted this printed, and they recalled the book. And they basically reissued it with all these colors brightened so that you could see the character in the background and you could see it a little bit better. It just would be, it looks like almost like a black cover. But they recalled it and then they improved upon it to make it a little bit more visible. So those recalled ones are kind of the hot books, because even though you can't really see what is going on, they're the hot book because there's less of them. So this is the recalled version, and I just picked it up like a couple days after it came out. So that's one good thing about my comic shop. If you act quickly, you can sort of pick up some of these hot books before they get sold out on my comic shop. Usually they have a bit bigger inventory than some of the local comic shops. So I kind of rely on them as my go-to if I miss out on a book during the week. Okay, this next one. Okay, this is this is an interesting one. This is I like talking about Golden Age books that are really underrated and undervalued, in my opinion. One of the series that I think is underrated and frankly one that you can get very, very affordably, and this is a really great cover that I'm actually shocked how cheaply I got this. This is Crime and Punishment number 56. I believe this is, I'm just trying to remember who did the cover. I want to say Charles Biro, or Biro, but I'm not sure. I think it's Biro. So yeah, or Biro. I always get mixed up which is the right one. It's so annoying. But it's just a really great cover. I mean, look at this cover. This is really, it's got like some pre-code horror elements to it, just because of what's going on. So you got this guy that's been tied to the four posts of the bed, and he's just sort of dangling there, and right where his stomach is a knife that if he doesn't keep himself up, you can see he's like straining to keep himself up, he will get impaled. And you see the mobsters just sort of walking away as they leave him to his death. This is just a classic Crime and Punishment book. And I think I paid less than $20 for this. And it's not even a low grade or anything. It's a, like I'd say, a 3 or a 4. It's not like really beaten up or anything. So yeah, just a really great book for very affordable. As I said, there's some really good opportunities in the Golden Age where people just haven't seen the cover or they don't realize that those books are out there, and you can get them for cheap. Actually, what happened was the guy had sent me a best offer. Like sometimes when this is a trick that I actually recommend. If you see a book you really like, but you feel like the price is a little bit too much, what you can do is just put it on your watch list. Okay, that's all. That's all you do. Put it on your watch list. And usually the algorithm at eBay, what they'll do is within maybe 24 hours or maybe a couple days, they will flag you that there's uh, a lower price that there's a deal for that book. Usually it's like 10%. But sometimes what will happen is when that deal comes back to you, it will have a counter offer option. So not only do you get it for 10% cheaper, but you can actually do a counter offer where you can get it even cheaper than that. So that was the case with that book, where the guy had offered me a pretty good discount. I think it was like 20-30% originally. And then I had the counter offer option, and I could get it even cheaper than that. So I was like, sure, why not? And yeah, so it was a very affordable pickup for me. Speaking of affordable pickups, I think it was Joe that was telling me about this one, or either it was Joe or Night Tiger. I got to give credit to one of those guys. That we sort of correspond, and they say, "Oh, do you have this book?" And I know you like Fox, and I know you like these kind of interesting books. And they told me about this one. I thought, yeah, that looks like a pretty cool cover. I'll pick it up. So this one was another affordable one. That's why they mentioned it to me, because it was affordable and kind of a cool book. This is Feature Stories magazine, and it's called Jungle Thrills, and it's just a really great bondage cover. You got this girl and almost like Tarzan guy and Jane being tied to a tree, and it looks like these kind of like tribal men are like gonna burn them. So just a really great cover, and this is from Fox Feature Syndicate, and just a really great cover. Yeah, just I don't know, I really like this one. Savage Tales of Wild Jungles. It's another Golden Age book, and just fun stuff. Fox had a tendency of doing some really crazy stuff. I believe this is issue number 3. And I think it's actually, even though it's issue number 3, I think it's actually the first issue in the series, I believe. I'd have to check on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. They would do that often, where they would start a series in issue number 3 or 4 or whatever, some random number, just to make it look like the title was successful. So this is Featured Stories magazine, Jungle Thrills, number 3. It also says, yeah, no, it doesn't say anything else. I thought it said something else as well, but nope. Okay, so that's a nice Golden Age there. And speaking of nice Golden Age, this next book is very, very cool. So I'm not 100% sure about this. I'm going to say something. I think it's maybe true, but maybe it's not true. So take it with a grain of salt what I'm going to say. But one of the most famous or iconic Golden Age pre-code horror book is Chamber of Chills 19. And if you're familiar with Chamber of Chills 19, it is a book where you got the girl, you see the girl in the foreground, in the background, and in the foreground is a guy holding a glass, and the glass is like kind of covering a portion of her face, but the portion that you see through the glass is a skeleton. It's almost like this thing that he's passing to her is gonna kill her. And it was used for I believe the Misfits. They did an album cover where they used that cover, and it's become probably the most iconic pre-code horror cover of all time. Now there were books that came out before it that used the same idea, and this is one of those, and that could have been the inspiration for the cover for Chamber of Chills 19. This one came out, I think, about 8 months before Chamber of Chills 19, and it's the same idea. You got this woman in the background, and you got this man holding a glass. But instead of her becoming a skeleton or something like that, it is the reflection in the glass where you see that the guy is going to murder her. And it says, "Come on, baby, drink up to the new numbers set up. Now that we've rubbed out Louis, the profits will be ours." And I think that might be Louis in the background that's, you know, getting reflected off the glass that's going to basically kill them. So yeah, just a really great cover. This one I picked up fairly affordably again. I was pretty lucky about this one. But I think it could be the inspiration for Chamber of Chills 19. There was actually a book that appeared before this as well that could have been another source for inspiration for Chamber of Chills 19, where it is almost a cover swipe. Like the Chamber of Chills 19 looks like a cover swipe of this other book. And the other book is called Dime Mystery number 8, I believe. And if you see it, it's very similar. Instead of a glass, though, it's an orb, a glass orb, like almost like a scrying orb. Yeah, this one I thought was also maybe the inspiration for Chamber of Chills 19. Just a cool book. I'm not 100% sure if it was the inspiration. Who knows? Who knows? But that's my guess. I'd like to think of it as being the inspiration. Whether or not it is, I'm not sure. Not 100% sure. Okay, so this next book is every so often Dan Parent, who is a really great artist, a modern artist for Archie, he will come out with variant covers for new Archie books. And he will do it based on Golden Age covers. And one of the ones that he did was this one called Betty and Veronica Suspense Stories. And I collect these homage covers to Crime Suspense Stories number 22, which is a famous cover that kind of, in my opinion, led to the end of the Golden Age. This one is a bit more extreme than the actual Crime Suspense Stories 22, because you can see, like, in the original Crime Suspense Stories 22, the head is just here, like the edge of the book would be here. So you can see that the head is being held, but you can't tell that it's decapitated, if that makes sense. This one's a little bit more extreme. The other thing that they did with Crime Suspense Stories 22 was the axe. It has like this goo on it, which should be blood, but instead of being blood color, it's this black color. And they did that in order to kind of make it look a little bit more acceptable, where it's not too gory. So I just think this is really funny. Another thing that I think is interesting about this homage, they copied the trade dress of EC Comics, but instead of calling it EC Comics, because it's, you know, that's the Golden Age book, they called it AC Comics for Archie Comics, which is, yeah, just kind of a nice little touch. So there was this one, and that was the trade dress version, but then we got the Virgin variant, and you got, you know, they show Archie in the background, and you got Betty and Veronica again. It's a really great cover. And it was originally a Johnny Craig cover. Now this is another homage. This is to Seven Seas by Matt Baker. This is an homage by Dan Parent to that. And just another great cover. And it actually comes with a little certificate of showing the number that were printed. So these variant covers, there's only 125 that they did. And yeah, other ones also have that, where they show the edition size. So this is number 38 of 125. So they're fairly limited in terms of the numbers that they produce, which makes them a little bit more collectible and kind of fun to get these homage covers to Golden Age great books. So I like that. I actually met Dan Parent, I believe 2 or 3 times now at Comic-Cons. He always comes to the Toronto Comic-Con, And whenever he goes there, I end up running into him. So yeah, so I don't think he ever remembers me, but I ran into him several times at these Comic-Cons. Okay, this one is very taped in. Sec here. Almost got this one. It's a little bit taped. I believe this is another... I'm not sure what this... Oh, okay. I know what this is. So there's a guy on eBay that has some pretty amazing books that he sells every so often. And his name is Blizzard. And this is a collection from him that I picked up. And I'm not even sure if I can get this out. He taped it too soundly to the thing. Okay, I'm just gonna slide them out because it's just too taped to the board. Okay, so these are going to be Golden Age books, just really good ones that I thought were really fun. Actually, I just posted this one out on my Instagram like a few days ago at the time of recording. Let's see. Okay, let's see. There we go. So the first is, this is Chief Wahoo. And I forgot what issue number it is, but I think it's issue number 8. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but it's somewhere around there. I just thought it was a great Good Girl art cover. So you got this girl in the background. I just thought she was really cute. And I just thought it was a really great cover. I think her name is Millie Ha Cha. I'm going to guess. I'm just going to guess. Yeah, I just thought it was fun. You know, she's just doing the typical thing where the guy is like, panicking that they're going to go over a waterfall, and she's just casually reading her book. And she's like, whoa, nothing can beat these books for thrills. It's just really fun. Good Girl art cover. Next one is Blackstone the Magician. Now, this is issue number 2, but it's actually issue number 1. The way it worked was they, again, with the numbering system, I believe it was a different title. I think it was Super Magician originally, and then they changed the title to Blackstone the Magician in number 2. But they, kept the numbering. This one also features a Blonde Phantom story. So a little bit of a bonus thing. I like Blonde Phantom. And I also like Blackstone the Magician too. I like these magic kind of books. Just a really fun one. Girl levitating, the classic magic trick on the cover. And it's a great Good Girl art cover as well. So that's Blackstone the Magician number 2. And another Good Girl art cover. This is Georgie number 9. And it is that typical trope of the girl being scared by the mouse. Now, in this case, he's playing a little bit of a trick on her because it's a mechanical mouse that he's put on the floor just to get the girl to get a little bit excited and hold on to him. So just a fun one. This is Georgie number 9. It needs a bit of cleaning in terms of, there's some writing on it, but it's all done in pencil, so I didn't think it was that bad. But definitely a cool Good Girl art cover. And next one is another Good Girl art cover, and this is one I really like. I won all these auctions for really great prices, actually. This is Wild Bill Hickok, number 1. This is when this is from, early 50s. And this is a genre that's kind of interesting for me. Westerns are not one that I particularly enjoy. I don't really get into Westerns as a genre of books to collect. But I do like Good Girl art. And this is just a really great Good Girl art cover. I believe, I want to say it is, now I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it kind of reminds me of yeah, I don't want to say. Okay, but I don't want to be saying the wrong thing. So yeah, just a really great cover. I thought it was really interesting. I was thinking Maurice Whitman, but yeah, but I'm not sure. It's not quite right, but who knows? Doesn't say on the cover, so it always makes it a little more challenging. But if you ever get into this situation where you're wondering who did the cover for this book, there's two tricks you can do if you ever want to find out who the cover artist is. You can go to the Grand Comics database, which is just comics.org, and they will often say who did the covers for any particular comic. You just type in the title and search. That's one trick. Another trick is My Comic Shop. If you do a search, even if they don't have the book, they'll generally have information about the comic, and you can get who the cover artist is. So those are two tricks that I do to find out who the cover artist. And sometimes I'll do that just to find out who the cover artist is, because I'll say, hey, I really like that cover artist. Did they do anything else? And that's one way I research what other books those artists do. Okay. Speaking of My Comic Shop, this is a longer video than I thought. Okay. We still got a couple more big books, actually. Okay, so we gotta pick up the pace here. I gotta pick up the pace. I'm getting into more talking about these books. I always wonder, do people like when I babble about the books and get really into the details, or do you like me just showing rapid fire books? Well, I kind of like showing and talking about the books and getting into the reasoning behind them. But I'd like to hear your feedback. So the next one is Hallows Eve #1. Again, a book that I missed when it came out. And this is, I believe this is the variant cover, the D cover. I thought it was an interesting cover. Another thing that I missed out on was Hallows Eve, the B cover, where it's like these Alex Ross covers. So yeah, I've been trying to collect all the different Alex Ross covers. He's been doing the variants for a lot of these things. I just thought this was an interesting one. This is Daughters of the Dark Oracle, Orgy of Vampires. I just thought this was interesting. I think it was a dollar bin book. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I just thought it was a cool cover. Okay, and then one more Hallows Eve. As I said, I missed out on Hallows Eve when it came out. But then I just immediately bought them off of My Comic Shop, and I got them for less than cover, so it worked out anyways. So this is Hallows Eve #1. So those ones. And then there's some more from My Comic Shop that I picked up. So I picked up a couple Golden Age ones as well. So this is Airboy Comics Volume 5 #10. And this one, they just had a really great price on it. I think it was even 50% off. Just a really great price. And I thought, why not pick it up? Like, I think I paid $40 for it. I just thought it was a really great price for kind of a cool cover. Like, you got this barn that's burning in the background, and they're trying to rescue this woman. And just fun stuff going on. I'm not sure if they're rescuing her or she's attacking them. Open up, Airboy, please. It's my only chance. That fire. Okay, but I shouldn't do it after all you've done. So is she a bad guy or good girl or whatever? Who knows? Okay, so okay, this one, I didn't realize that it was so rough. Again, you got to really check the listings on My Comic Shop sometimes, because sometimes you got to look at the pictures. Even though they show a picture, it's just a file picture. And if you don't click on view the picture, you can get a very unpleasant surprise. Well, that's what this is. A little bit of a miss on my part. But this is Dimension Comics #2, I believe. Yeah, #2 with Mighty Mouse. Now, Mighty Mouse, just so you know, Dimension Comics #1, this is #2, is the very first time that they did 3D in comics was with Mighty Mouse, and it was Dimension Comics #1. Now this is #2, but I actually ordered #1 as well, so that's in a later unboxing. You'll see that one. But what I wanted was I wanted a complete copy of this book. It said fair, but I didn't. I thought maybe it was a spine split or something. I didn't realize it was a remainder copy. So it's actually a very sharp copy, but it is a remainder copy. The thing that I really wanted to make sure that it had, though, was the glasses. And you can see the glasses in the background, which is interesting. But this was very affordable. I think I paid less than $6 for it. I think it was around $4 or $5. It was very affordable, and you can see why. It is a remainder copy. So I can't really complain too much because it is. I knew it was low grade, and it is complete, which is nice. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Mighty Mouse, and I like 3D comics. So that's that one. Okay, we got one more to do, and this is a big one. This is a big one to end it all off. It is one that I was very excited to get, again, at a really great price. So that's why, like, when I did this unboxing, and I call it a crazy unboxing, and it was 5 big boxes that I showed. You think, oh, what is this guy nuts? He's like buying like a ton of comics. What is he doing? He must be spending a fortune. Well, what happened was a lot of books came up that I really wanted, that are really cool, that were very affordable. Like, it was like, I felt like they were just giving away these awesome comics. And that's what this one was. I was like, wow, I can't believe I can get this major book for such a great book price. And that's what this is. This is a major book I got at a very affordable price. I think it was like $40 or something. It was like, maybe that sounds like a lot of money, but it was, for this book, it is not a lot of money. This is a Mickey Mouse Magazine, Volume 5, #2 from 1939. And you're probably wondering, what's so special about this book? Well, other than it being a cool, goofy cover with Halloween elements to it, it is also the very first appearance of Pinocchio in comics. Now, the next issue of this series, Volume 5, #3, has a cover with Pinocchio on it, and it's the first cover appearance of Pinocchio. It's also, #3 is also the first appearance of Jimmy the Cricket. So if you're into getting your first appearances, that's another key book. And I have that book in my collection already. But I really wanted the true first appearance of Pinocchio, and that's what this book is. And one of my favorite characters as a kid was Goofy. I really liked Goofy as a kid. I just thought he was goofy. I thought he was fun. So this is Walt Disney Comics, Mickey Mouse Magazine, Volume 5, #2 from 1939. First appearance of Pinocchio. Just a really great cover. And, not a bad grade for this book. This is, I want them to, I got to fold this back over, but just this is not actually the corner being damaged. It's just the paper's been folded. It's not a super high grade, but it's not a bad, it's actually reasonably good grade. I'd say maybe a 2.5 would be my guess, based on what I'm seeing. So yeah, so that's this unboxing, a little bit longer than I expected. And actually, I still have another 6 more to go. And there's actually more stuff in the later videos. So I don't know how this is going to work. It's just a lot of stuff. I got some really great deals this month. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you enjoyed it and you want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. The liking really does help. The more people that like these videos, the better it is for my algorithm, and it really does help me grow the channel. So please do that. And thanks again for watching. Bye for now.